So you want to know how I ended up losing everything over one stupid comment? That's the thing about life, you never see the disasters coming until they steamroll right over you. I'm Vanessa, 32 years old, and 6 months ago I had everything. A gorgeous house in a gated community, designer clothes and luxury handbags, weekend getaways to wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Now, I'm crashing on my sister's couch, working double shifts just to afford ramen noodles. And all of this? Because of one careless joke. A joke I thought my husband would never hear. But he did. And instead of getting mad, yelling or arguing, he simply walked out of my life, taking everything with him. Now, he's moved on. And me? I've never felt so small, so powerless, and so alone. Before everything fell apart, Mark was my provider, my security, my safety net. He wasn't the most exciting guy in the room. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't the tall, chiseled, dominant type. He wasn't the kind of man who made women's heads turn. But he was stable, reliable, generous. And I liked that. Noi depended on that. He paid for everything: our house, my car, my shopping sprees. He never questioned my spending. He never asked for much, in return just love, respect, and a real partner. And the truth? I liked being taken care of. I liked not worrying about bills. I liked knowing he would handle everything. But somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing him as my husband and started seeing him as an ATM. And one night, I said it out loud and ruined everything. It was supposed to be a normal night. I was in our walk-in closet, trying on a new dress I had just bought. My phone was on speaker. My best friend Samantha was on the other end, gossiping like we always did. And then? She asked the question that ruined my life. Be honest, Vanessa. If Mark wasn't paying for everything, would you still be with him? I laughed. Not a little chuckle. A full, careless, amused laugh. Girl, he's a 5, but he pays for everything. Let's be real. That's the only reason I'm living like this. I heard Samantha giggle on the other end. I smirked at myself in the mirror, not realizing what I had just done. Because behind me, through the half-open bathroom door, Mark had just stepped out of the shower. And he had heard everything. The second I saw him, I knew. His face was blank, too blank. He just stood there, towel around his waist, hair dripping onto the floor. And for the first time ever, he looked at me like I was a stranger, like he had just realized something about me that he could never unknow. And that was the moment I lost him. I just didn't know it yet. After that night, Mark changed. Not in a loud, dramatic way. Not in a way that I noticed right away. But he stopped. Stopped asking about my day. Stopped kissing me goodnight. Stopped checking in to see if I needed anything. At first, I thought he was just upset. That he'd cool off. That maybe he just needed some time. But as days passed, I started to realize something chilling. He wasn't mad. He wasn't waiting for an apology. He was disconnecting. Slowly, quietly, without a single fight. And that scared me more than anything. Because Mark had never been the type to yell. He had never been the type to argue. He was the type of man who, when he was done, he was done. And the more distant he became, the more I started to panic. Because for the first time in my life, I realized I needed him more than he needed me. One evening, I came home from a shopping trip, expecting to find Mark in his usual spot working on his laptop in the living room, waiting for me. But the house felt different. Too quiet. Too empty. Then I saw it. On the kitchen counter, his house keys. Next to them, a neatly folded piece of paper. My stomach dropped as I unfolded it, hands trembling. It wasn't a love letter. It wasn't an angry rant. It was short, simple, and final. Vanessa, I heard everything, and for the first time I finally see things clearly. You never loved me. You loved the lifestyle I gave you, and now you can keep it without me. The house is in my name. The cards are in my name. The car is in my name. I already packed my things. You'll figure the rest out. Take care. I read it over and over, my heart pounding. He's joking. He's bluffing. He wouldn't actually leave me. I grabbed my phone, called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again and again. Nothing. Then it hit me. The house was in his name. The car was in his name. The credit cards, the bank accounts, everything, all his. And I had nothing. No money, no backup plan, no Mark to take care of me. And that's when I finally understood. I had spent so long thinking I had control. But the truth? He was the one with the real power all along. And now, I had just lost everything. I still told myself he'd come back. That he was just teaching me a lesson. That after a few weeks, maybe a month, he'd miss me. That he'd realize I was just joking and come crawling back. But weeks passed. Then months. And Mark? Never called, never texted, never looked back. And me? The credit cards were cut off. The luxury car was repossessed. The house? Sold. I had to move in with my sister. I started working double shifts at a restaurant just to afford cheap rent and instant ramen. And for the first time in my life, I knew what real struggle felt like. No more spa days, no more shopping sprees, no more easy life. Just me, standing in a tiny apartment, staring at my reflection, wondering how I ended up here. And then, one day, I saw him. I was running errands, dressed in sweatpants and an old hoodie, looking nothing like the woman I used to be. And there he was. Mark. But he wasn't alone. He looked different, happier. And next to him, a woman polished, elegant, confident, the kind of woman who valued him. And as I stood there, frozen, looking at the life that used to be mine, I realized I wasn't the one who left him behind. He was the one who upgraded. After losing Mark, I told myself I'd bounce back, that I was still young, attractive, fun, that men would still line up to take care of me. So I downloaded dating apps, went out with friends, and tried to pretend like I wasn't completely falling apart inside. At first, the attention felt good. The matches, the compliments, the flirty DMs. But then, I started to notice something. The men I went on dates with, they weren't like Mark. They didn't pick up the bill without hesitation. They didn't offer to help when I mentioned my struggles. They didn't see me as a woman to commit to just one to have fun with. One guy even laughed and said, "Oh, you're looking for a provider? Yeah, good luck with that." And suddenly, I realized, the one man who ever truly valued me, I had mocked him. And now, even broke men wouldn't take me seriously. I had laughed at the only man who ever truly cared. And now, I was the joke. I don't get a happy ending. I don't get a second chance. Mark is gone. Not just from our home, not just from our relationship, but from my life. And the worst part, he's better without me. I thought I was being funny. I thought I was being clever. But all I did was prove to him that I never truly valued him. And when a man realizes that, he doesn't argue. He doesn't fight. He just walks away. And once he does, he never looks back. So if you're listening to this, don't make the mistake I did. Because when you treat a man like a walking ATM, one day he'll close the account. And trust me, regret is a debt you can never pay off. Goodbye.